my little ponies, I'm Starlight, and welcome to another exciting installment of fanchat. Today we'll be discussing, going back a little bit towards the nostalgic side for us, where we will be discussing cartoons that we grew up watching. Remember, you can ask questions. And furthermore, it's that time again where I ask you, the fans, to decide on what topics you want to hear us discuss. So, make sure you post those in the comments on YouTube. So, why don't we start off by introducing people and asking them what their favorite cartoon show was as a kid? Cutie Mark Crusaders. Postscript?
You said Cutie Mark Crusaders. I am Postscript of the Birdie Crusaders.
Yes. And we have Rosie with us. Say hi.
Hey everybody, nice to be here.
Okay, and Rainbow X Dosh for her
Hey,
second
people.
visit.
Hey people, what's up?
And we all know LK.
Who is AFK at the moment?
Yeah, lower level knight. He's always muting his microphone. I think it's because his dogs bark a lot. Anyways, why don't you start, Postscript, by telling us what your favorite or top 3 favorite cartoons were as a kid?
Well, honestly, like I said to you before the podcast began, I'm pretty much coming into this blind, but there are a few of them that I was thinking of. Oh, as you asked that question, some of the ones that I mostly think of are stuff like Dexter's Laboratory, or something along the lines of the old 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually grew up with that one. That was a lot of fun. We actually had several of the episodes on VHS tape.
Wow, cool.
And then the third one, for people who see my artwork on DeviantArt, is most definitely Sailor Moon. The reason I say that is a lot of my art style is actually inspired by the Sailor Moon art style.
Well, it is a very cute art style, Postscript. What about you, LK? What is your favorite or top 3 favorite cartoons from when you were a kid?
I really don't have a list, but I would have to say I was more into watching Scooby-Doo, Pokemon, and Digimon, and Looney Tunes, and stuff like that.
So, Cartoon Network. You were a Cartoon Network kid. That explains so much, people. What about you, Rainbow Dash?
I'm not sure, but I think before I liked SpongeBob first. Oh, I think I'll get the other two later on.
Okay, what about you, Rosie?
Well, my 3 favorites are Scooby-Doo, because it's one of my most favorite Hanna-Barbera cartoon, and it's my dad's favorite as well, because we're Scooby-Doo fans. And my other 2 favorites are Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls.
Okay. Well, my favorite growing up was A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which, of course, you could only watch when you were sick, because it came on when you were, of course, at school. I love that show. Gargoyles. And my top favorite would probably have to be Total Spies, which is really funny. To tell you the truth, I always thought they were the Powerpuff Girls after they lost their powers and grew up.
Totally Spies was so far from the Powerpuff Girls. It was pretty much just exposition.
But I loved Totally Spies. It was the first time as a kid I saw girls without powers beating the daylights out of people.
Oh, it was
good.
definitely pretty kick-ass. But, like I said, it was pretty much fan service.
Yes. My favorite part of any scene is when they would randomly get sucked down into a hole for a mission. Yes. Just randomly, and usually in the most awkward situations. You suddenly, fall down into a hole.
That was part of the amusement factor of this series, was just the random tunnels that what was the place that they were actually a part of? Like whatever organization it was.
WAV.
I thought it was Swoop or something.
No, I could have sworn it was WAV. Though that might have been one of their, like, tools or something. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, they would. No, it was Woot, actually.
Woot.
WHOOT, I think.
Woot, yes.
But yeah,
My favorite
so
one
many
was the
people
cookie
watch
one.
that just because of the fan service.
My favorite one was the cookie one. Yes.
I think I missed the cookie one.
Okay, basically there's these girls that sort of like Girl Scouts, and they go around and they sell cookies. And this girl that used to be one but ate all her cookies when she was a kid is like the leading person of the company now, and she puts this ingredient to make people super addicted to them. And so like people are getting really fat because they're like chasing after these little girls for cookies.
That's also straight up illegal. I'm surprised they wouldn't have brought that up into the series.
Well, it's illegal to add illegal substances to cookies to make them super addictive. Although I still swear that there is something wrong in Girl Scout cookies to make them so addictive. Sir. And I was a Girl Scout, although I got the outfit and the sash. I kind of forgot I was a Girl Scout. So, yeah.
I'm tempted to do drawings now.
Hmm?
I'm tempted to do drawings now.
Of what? Not me.
Insert conspiracy music.
Yes. Anyways, but cartoons were always great. I love the cheesy cartoons especially. But maybe we should start off by talking about one of the very first cartoons, Felix the Cat.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, as far as Felix the Cat is concerned, the only thing I really watched was the movie of it. I never saw the series itself. And the movie was okay, but you had to completely suspend your belief system or any kind of rationality because everything was so fucking random in that movie.
Hmm. I never actually saw Felix the Cat as a kid. But I do know that he helped inspire Tom and Jerry, which was a cartoon I always enjoyed watching because what little kid doesn't like to watch violence. Although the Tom and Jerry movie hurt me when I was a little kid. It really
Yeah.
hurt me. They showed blood, and they talked.
I don't remember the blood, but I definitely remember the talking, and that was a big deal.
That
it
was
like-
just meh.
I don't
That
know.
was
It
just
felt,
meh.
I feel
Honestly,
like it killed.
honestly, from what I've heard, is they did talk whenever the series first began, but they went completely silent after a while. So when they came back to talking whenever the actual movie got released, it was a big deal, but the people who had been with the series for long enough would actually remember it, and it would be kind of like a nostalgia trip or something.
But I remember them talking, but they never really talked to each other. The only time Tom ever really talked was when he was trying to, well, get a little pussy.
In more ways than one.
Exactly. Although, there was that one episode where he fell in love with this dog that looked like a cat. That episode really confused me. Like, because he only saw it from a window, and when he finally, like, managed to get into the apartment, the dog chased him away, because she wasn't a cat. She was a dog. Because at that point, I've only ever known hunting dogs and, big dogs. I didn't know that dogs could look like cats at that point, and it confused me. It really confused me. It's like, wait, what?
Did they ever mention what breed of cat it was? Or what breed of dog it was?
I think it was like a Shih Tzu or something. Like, it was really furry. Like, it was one of those puffballs. You know? Like, it was just a... No, it wasn't... I think it was a rag doll. It was like a rag doll's a cat.
Pomeranian?
It might have been a Pomeranian. It was like just one of those big balls of fluff, and it was like white. I remember that. Or it was like red or something. It was a long time ago, people. I can't remember.
By the way, you do know you have the Q&A disabled, right?
What?
You have
I
the
thought
Q&A disabled on the...
All right, I'll turn it on. I thought I turned it on, and it won't let me turn on the Q&A now. Oopsies! I'm sorry, people. I guess I disabled it instead of turning it on. I am sorry. Next time, I promise. Leave your comments in like the questions on YouTube, and I will do my best to answer them later on in like a Q&A or something. So, yes. Where were we? Tom and Jerry, yes. I always liked the episodes where like Tom wasn't like when okay, did what? I guess I disabled it instead of turning it on. I am sorry. It's okay. Next time, I promise. Leave your comments in like the questions on YouTube,
Wow.
and I will do my best to answer them later on in like a Q&A or something.
Violet, we're hearing
So,
like
yes.
15-second lag on your audio.
I always like the episodes where like hello?
Okay, I'm back. Using another account.
Okay. Anyways, I always like the episodes where Tom was trying to get like a female cat, and in the end, the mouse or the dog would get her. It always confused me, but I liked it anyways. I especially like the episode where he gave the mouse to the female cat as a present, and she got mad when he tried to eat the mouse. And then, like, she was treating him like a baby, and then she kissed him goodnight, and she realized how yummy he was, and then he had to run away from the female cat. I remember that one.
Sometimes Jerry got what was actually coming to him. Other episodes made me wonder, okay, where's the balance of this? Because it was straight up Tom abuse.
Yes. I also liked it when Slow-Mo Rodriguez or like the other blue little mouse would show up, or like Speedy Gonzales. I always loved it when the other mice would show up. And I like the Mexican cat. There was like nobody can catch Speedy Gonzales or something like that. It was funny. I liked it. Crossovers are always fun.
Speedy Gonzales was another favorite of mine. Though he was more active in Looney Tunes.
He was, but he did occasionally show up. Yes. Tom, yeah. Straight up abuse for animals. Let's face it, it's animal abuse in those episodes.
But it's a cartoon, so who cares? Legalities
Yep.
don't.
Let's see. Well, what about Recess? Any of you guys watch Recess as a kid?
Yeah,
No.
I used to saw that.
I watched Recess. It was a part of the Saturday morning cartoon series on, was it Disney?
4Kids.
Yeah.
Oh, gods. No, not necessarily 4Kids. It was a particular channel. I just can't remember if it was Cartoon Network or Disney.
It was
Disney.
It was on Disney, but 4Kids had a morning lineup.
Wait,
4Kids,
was
the
on,
bane of children's entertainment.
4Kids was on Warner Brothers channel, I think.
I really don't know. All I know is that my grandparents would put it on for me every Saturday morning to keep me quiet while they were making pancakes. That's all I know.
Recess was interesting because of the different social commentaries they made on it.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at just how many topics they touched on very slightly.
Like being yourself, selling stuff illegally, betraying your friends. I think there was one that was basically almost changing yourself to get a guy, and then there was another one of drugs. I remember the drug one.
There was one on cussing. That was an interesting episode.
What were the ones where drugs were interesting? Because, like, that kid that always sold everything, but it wasn't like a drug. It was like a candy that was highly addictive. But, like, you knew it was representation of a drug, and, like, kids
Like
would
crack.
trade. Yeah. Like, kids were trading away everything for it and, like, stealing stuff to get more of this candy. Yes.
Yeah, Recess was the kid-friendly version of touching on social topics that a lot of adults were afraid to touch on in entertainment. Other than, like, you get to see the horror of Fox News trying to touch on things like, murder or all these trials and whatnot, and then you get to see episodes of Recess where they comment on the judicial system, just like in a topic, and
Oh, yeah, I remember
between the
that
difference between
one.
ideology and how it actually works.
I remember that one. It was when that snitch kid threw mud into his face and said that he got hit by a rock by that girl who was always wearing the boots.
Spinelli.
Finelli. Yeah, her. And then, like, she, like, had to go in front of, like all the leaders of the different groups or something, and she was sent to punishment.
What about like King Bob? Wasn't that him?
Yeah.
That was one of those second-tier characters in the series that really kind of pushed some of the stories in a few episodes. Did they wind up going before him during that
Yes.
as a judge, or?
Yes, but like witnesses and stuff were like called and stuff, and it was like a full-fledged thing. And then at the end, he's like, "You know what? I really don't care. You're sentenced to be hit in the face with mud with a rock in it, like you did to the kid." And then he came forth and was like, "No, I lied," or something.
Yeah, because Spinelli said Miss Finster's cat, and she was like nowhere near Randall. So after when he saw her do that, he was really mad because he serves Miss Finster as her snitch.
And her
He had such
servant.
a hard-on for that teacher.
He did. I always thought that was really creepy.
Extremely creepy.
Like, I would understand if she was like a pretty, like, hardcore,
She was an
sort
old,
of S&M
chunky,
teacher, but she was
gray
like,
and white-haired lady, all wrinkly and shit.
I feel like he must have had really bad mommy issues. Or maybe grandma issues. I have no clue.
But Miss Finster's a really good fighter.
Thought she is. I don't know. She's not as bad as she was made out to be in some of the episodes,
Yeah. Yeah, like when she in the episode where Spinelli had a crush on the boy, Miss Finster is giving her advice about not to be ashamed of having a crush on someone, and she also said that some of the kids on the playground might have the same feeling as she was someday.
Mm-hmm.
I
Also, to
must
be
have
yourself,
totally
because she
missed
tried
that
to change.
episode.
Do you remember, like, when it came out that her name was Ashley? And,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
she was forced to join the Ashleys?
Yeah, she
Oh
was
my
forced to
God.
join the Ashley Club, but then the only way to
Wow.
get her out of the Ashley Club was basically the counterfeit guy, the guy with the trench coat, got paid to make all these fake IDs, like lunch IDs or whatever, of like everybody in the school, and all of their first names were Ashleys, and they all climbed in. It's like, everybody get out!
Hi.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
God, I always hated those Ashley girls. They reminded me of my sister. Entitled, bitchy, always having to get what they want.
The only other thing I could say about Recess, I think, is I find the creepypasta story kind of interesting.
Oh, there's always creepypastas. Go ahead, tell the story.
Honestly, I
want
don't
to.
remember the story entirely, but the creepypasta concept is that it is actually based on several of the kids that went to this particular
Yeah.
old school, and I think it was Massachusetts or something. And I could be wrong on that one, by the way.
Yes.
But basically, all the kids there were dead,
Mhm.
and it was their spirits, and they were telling the stories of these kids who were spirits on the playground, and that's why pretty much 90 to 95% of the episodes you saw, or all the time of you saw on camera, was on that playground.
Mhm. Although that brings up another really cool creepypasta from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, where it's like all the kids, because all the kids are sort of from different
Oh
time periods,
yes, I
and
know
how
that. It's more
eh,
like that. That creepypasta speaks about all three of the Eds are in purgatory, and then each of the kids around the neighborhood represent some of the seven deadly sins.
yes, and the Canker sisters are like demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some other nostalgic cartoons for you guys? I've heard
Um,
Dexter's Laboratory mentioned several times, so why don't we talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that one next?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows before I got into Powerpuff Girls. Um, I like like the episodes. So like, for example, the one where they told about the origin of Dexter's Laboratory in opera form. That was my personal favorite episode of that. And there was one episode where Dexter was taught about how to play the piano, um, from Paul Williams, and that was a good episode.
my favorite episode was when he learned how to speak French from that weird helmet thing, but he could only say one word, and like all the girls were like falling in love with him, and like all the guys were scared
Yeah.
at him, and that like he was just riding on top of the world, and then he goes to his lab, and because he can't speak English, it explodes on him, and he's just crying at the end of the episode. I loved it so much.
And Didi goes around saying, "That's all you can say. That's all you can say."
Yes. Or how about the time when Dee Dee tried to teach him to be normal? And like, there was ridiculous things like how to walk in the sandbox, how to pet a kitty right, and like he ends up destroying his lab, and then he feels awful, and he like it just zooms out with him fixing his lab. It's like, aw, you feel bad for him sometimes, and then other times you're like, ha, totally got it. I also like the guy that liked Dee Dee, but she thought he was ew. It was so much fun.
Are you talking about Mandark?
Yeah, Mandark.
Mandark was a character in and of himself. He was definitely Dexter's.
I liked how his parents were
Rival.
hippies.
Oh yeah, his parents were total hippies, and they had nothing to do with science. So how Mandark got any kind of, excuse me, Susan, how Susan ever got any kind of mind to work with technology is beyond me.
Yes, but his sister was just like Dee Dee, except for evil and short.
Yes.
You know? And I loved his little sister. Oh dear lord, she was just so awesome. Like she was evil, but she was like the first villain that I ever loved. Which is weird because she's a girl, but still, like I remember that episode where like they had that ballet off and she cheated.
Yeah.
And Dee Dee was so crushed, and then the teacher found out she cheated and gave the part to Dee Dee, but then Dee Dee felt guilty because she only got the part because it was discovered that she cheated, and so like they ended up instead of having it be a solo, they did a duet together. Then they always went back to hating each other. I don't know.
Yeah, cartoons like that never had continuity in the past. Even stuff like Scooby Doo never had continuity as far as their character development was concerned. They just went as the same people around to whatever places, being the exact same type of people and never learning anything from any place else.
I'm sorry, and I'm probably going to be yelled at like this, but I always thought Scooby-Doo represented the drug trade. Like, you have Freddy who's the pimp, you have Velma who's the drug maker, you have Shaggy who's the test subject, and the dealer, and then you have what's her name? The redheaded one.
Daphne.
Yeah.
Daphne, who's the pusher. She's the one that is pushing it towards people because she looks so sweet and innocent. She also might be a bit of a hooker. I'm sorry. That is what I thought my entire time I watched them as a little kid. I don't know why I thought this, but I did. Which is why I loved A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, because it was before they become druggies. Of course, at that point, it was
Wow.
the butler making the drugs. Because the Scooby snacks were always made by the butler in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Velma would call her butler. Oh, yeah, and Velma's dad was the head of the drug mafia for them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was a weird kid, okay?
Alright.
What do you mean were?
Thanks. I love being different.
Well, I never said it was a bad thing.
I like when
Asking what do you mean were? You're still kind of weird. All of us are a little weird.
We're bronies. You expect us to be normal?
Some of us more weird than others.
Normality is boring, darling. All the best people are crazy and awesome because we're different and awesome. I mean, just look at Beethoven. He was death, a prick, and could write some of the most beautiful music. But yet he was death, a prick, and was beaten as a child by his father. Also, there was occasion where he threw food at a server just because he thought it was the wrong day and ordered the wrong special. Yes, he was a prick. But wrote very beautiful music. And because he was so crazy, he will be forever remembered.
As a crazy asshole who wrote beautiful music.
Yep.
So what are some other ones then?
Let's see. I got Pinky and the Brain.
They're Pinky
Oh,
and
that
the
was
Brain.
good.
They're Pinky and the
Pinky
Brain.
and the
Yeah,
Brain.
brain.
One is insane.
Yep.
I'm still looking forward to the Rift Cafe parody of that one.
It's actually really good, but I always thought that Pinky was the genius and Brain was insane.
Yeah, because I like where Brain's character is like he always wants to come up with plans for world domination, and Maurice LaMarche was really best voice actor for voicing him, like he had the makings of a villain to be.
Yeah, well, my favorite episode was when Pinky Brain comes up with a machine to make Pinky smart because he's sick and tired of him ruining the plans, and with Pinky being so smart, he shows a scientific equation to show that Brain is the reason why he fails.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Pinky that made the calculation. Brain actually made the calculation, and
You're right.
because he determined that Pinky was the weak link in them, and he had to be smart. So Brain made this machine, made Pinky smart, and Pinky started doing stuff, and he took a look at the equation, did a double check on it, found an error in it, and that's what he showed Brain. So he found the error, showed it to Brain. Brain basically blew it off until Pinky wandered off. He ran the calculation, and the calculation proved that he was the weak link, so he discovered one of them had to be stupid, so Brain went into the machine and became stupid. Then Pinky went into the machine afterwards and became stupid. Then they met up. It's like, hey, I'm stupid again. Maybe we can actually do this right now. Then both of them are like, well, fuck.
Yes.
That was definitely one of my favorite episodes because it basically proved what both of them were. Brain was definitely the smart, intellectual one. I don't care what the creepypasta says. But Brain was definitely the smart, intellectual one, but Pinky was the more sensible and realistic one. I mean, sure, he was pretty random, but he was pretty much Pinkie Pie before Pinkie Pie came to be.
Yes. Although I always did like the Christmas episode because I always thought it very heart-throbbing when it's like, oh, he actually manages to conquer the world, and then Santa Claus comes to him and he like fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, aww. And then he goes right back to trying to take over the world. It's like, oh fuck.
Or what about the episode Chia World? Did you get to see that one? They build a giant paper mache world connected to Earth. They spread this super miracle grow over it, and it basically turns the entire world into a complete copy of Earth. Make T-shirts and gave out T-shirts to the entire world population. So all the humans got over onto Chia World. Pinky and Brain were on the normal world. A meteor came through. They hurried to Chia World. The normal Earth blew up, and they started off right back where they started.
Yes, I remember that one. It confused me, but it was also interesting.
The best episode by far, though, is when when Brain actually managed to succeed in a form he never would have seen coming. The time he took the night off.
Mm-hmm.
He basically went through and became the consumer and used his intellect to basically preach what is right to people. And every step of the way, he was getting his ass kicked for it by the people who were in charge. Until when he left, the people who were not in charge there was an uproar, and they overthrew the people who were in charge, and so there started news bulletins like, who is this mysterious figure who basically saved the entire world, or at least their culture.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We may never know, and Brain's just like, okay, there's got to be only one recreation. There's only one recreation thing for me. There's only one stress relief for me, and that's doing exactly what I do every night: try and take over the world.
Yes.
So yeah, the one
cool.
time he could have succeeded, he didn't see it coming.
No, I never liked the Family Odd Parents.
Oh, I thought it was good. It's
The
one of my
Fairly Odd
other
Parents
favorites.
was interesting.
Like, it was interesting, and I could watch it. Like, don't get me wrong, I watched it. It's just, I never really liked it. It was more just something that, oh, that's interesting. It made you think, which is weird for a cartoon to make you actually think. But it's like, have you ever realized Timmy Turner's kind of a jerk? Like, think about it. He has all this power. He could wish for his friend AJ to have hair and for his friend Chester to not be living in a dump, and for, it's
He's
like...
a kid. He's not going to think about, world peace or anything like that. He's got instant gratification that he wants. And that's what the odd parents are. That's what the fairy godparents do, is they grant small wishes to help teach happiness. And then once the kid grows up, he begins to learn happiness outside of things.
He doesn't make just small wishes. He wished the entire world to look the same. He changed everything.
And then it all had to be changed back because the witch basically fucked it up. The whole lesson behind Fairly Odd Parents is things are nice and you can get things, but that's not where happiness is going to come from. That's what the fairy godparents are teaching. That's what Timmy Turner has to learn throughout the course of the series, and usually through every single episode. He does get to be an adult at one point, and it totally fucks him over because he wasn't ready for it, and he completely, it went downhill the moment he wished for adulthood, and then he got through this whole you have to remember the episode.
I remembered the episode.
Channel
And they
Chases.
kept having to pay the taxi to hold off.
Yeah, Channel Chasers. It was it was the special where he was was going through all these television shows the parodies of television shows that we know. So let's see. so like that Mahamushi was similar to, I don't know if it was similar to Dragon Ball Z or what it was, and the only way to stop Vicky was to make him go into going up into a into
Adult.
16-year-old, yeah, and and then when he actually does meet Vicky, he realizes that that was the main reason that he got Cosmo and Wanda in the first place, because of her. So thus they decide to erase all the memories of what happened, and then say everything back to normal.
Yeah, have anybody else realized that shouldn't like all the kids that she babysits should have Fairly Odd Parents? Like, she makes every kid's life she babysits miserable. And she babysits like everybody in that town. There should be more Fairly Odd Parents than just that one with rich kids. Wandissimo. I did like Wandissimo. He made me laugh. He reminded me of Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Except for girls actually liked him.
hmm And he was like after Wonder every time, like Pepe Le Pew.
Always. Though I always loved Pepe Le Pew, even though he's like a creepy stalker. Like, I know I shouldn't like him, but he's just so gosh darn adorable in how he's so devoted to the cat. And yet when the cat does fall in love with him, he runs away from her.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Reverse psychology.
Exactly.
hmm
It
I
works.
love the fact that the whole reason why he's in love with the cat is because something happens every single episode that gets a white stripe down the cat's back and tail, so immediately she's recognized as a skunk for some crazy ass reason. So Pepe
Even though
winds up chasing after her.
Even though she doesn't have a poofy tail.
No, she doesn't.
Well, at least not poofy enough to be like a skunk or something. I don't know. Although, my French teacher was always obsessed with Pepe Le Pew and them, so I was always able to win the Valentine's Day contest because I'd always put Pepe Le Pew and the little kitty cat on the Valentine for the Valentine's Day contest, where you're supposed to like make a French Valentine.
hmm
Yes. I won the box of chocolates every year, 4 years. Wahaha. There's buzzing. Ow.
Yeah, Violet Spears' sound is buzzing.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody remember Digimon? Digimon.
Which series? Because like I told you over Skype earlier, there's Digimon Adventures 1, Digimon Adventures 2, there's Digimon Tamers, and then there's Digimon Frontier, as well as Digimon Data Squad.
What about Scarlet Champions? Because I know that's in the theme song.
What?
It goes Digimon, Digital Monster, Digi Scarlet Champion.
Digimon are the champions, and that was actually in 2 different openings.
Fine.
No, 3. That was in Digimon's Adventures 1 and 2. 2 was actually the sequel to 1. And then there was Digimon Tamers, which used relatively the same theme song for the opening, but they had to change it up because instead of saving the digital world, the Digimon were being brought to the real world, and they were having to fight them there.
Mm-hmm. Fine. So I only know one Digimon season, and I don't know what it is. All I know is that it had the girl with the cowboy hat and the dragon thingy and the little ball thing that was pink and chubby. Yes, that is what
The
I
Bat
remember.
Wings.
And like a blonde kid and his little brother.
Okay, well, that was both Digimon Adventure 1 and 2, because like I said, those were sequels. But was
Anyway.
this like when they first hit File Island, or was this when they started going back to this, or they started
When
going
they
to the
were,
school
I
and
remember
growing
they
up a
were
little
in the
bit?
Digimon world for some of it. I might have seen parts of both. Anyways,
I remember. Oh, sorry.
continue.
I remember mostly of Adventures 2 because I watched that one the most. And I would say that my favorite one would have probably been the was it Frontier, the one where they had the spirit evolutions?
Yes. That
I
was
liked
Frontier.
it.
That was the fourth series that came out.
I don't remember much about Frontier, but I remember liking it to some extent, and I would actually like to go back to watching it because
I think the episodes are actually up on YouTube.
they are.
I think so.
I may
But
check it out sometime because
I've seen all of Adventure 1 and 2, all of Tamers, and I started watching Frontier. I think I got about halfway to two-thirds of the way through it before I kind of started migrating off to doing other stuff. But this was, a few years ago.
what was the one where they did the dark and gloomy city with Impmon?
That might have
was
been the
Tamers.
movie.
The one with the cards?
Impmon was in Tamers. That, like I said, that was when the Digimon were digitally created, but somehow materialized into the real world.
I remember watching that one too. I remember watching it up into near the finale.
I really liked
Yeah.
that one because the stronger their Digimon got, the more connected they were to their partners, and I thought that was an interesting concept. I mean, not only did the original, not only did the main person wind up creating his Digimon's concept from the very beginning, but it was by connecting to him that he became champion. By the ultimate levels,
Works. Yeah.
what's up, Violet?
Oh. Look, my microphone.
Good.
No, nothing.
Okay. I always really liked the Justice League.
What?
The Justice League. It's
What's wrong with
actually.
Justice League?
I said I always really liked the Justice League.
Oh.
I especially always liked when Huntress and Canary always duked it out. It was always fun. Then, of course, sometimes Green Arrow would get dragged along, and then, like...
The latest series by Marvel, or one of the latest series by Marvel, it's called Arrow, and it basically gets to dig into the Green Arrow. That's the whole concept behind it. And so far, we've gotten to, the end of Season 2 now, and we've gotten to meet both Canary and Huntress. Both of them are interesting.
Yes. Of course, Huntress did try to kill Canary a couple times. Of course, Canary tried to kill her a couple times, too. And I always found it weird that she was sleeping with the Clue, but whatever. It's her choice. He seems interesting enough, I suppose. He's basically the ultimate conspiracy theory person. Although he eventually did discover, sorry, spoiler, eventually did discover that the whole world was going to go to hell because of when Flash gets killed. And, that's where all the conspiracies led up to. It's actually quite fascinating. And he discovered... Oh, yeah, and he discovered the mystical flavor of, the mystical 53rd flavor of ice cream or something.
What?
There was also an episode where it was him and Supergirl in Justice League Unlimited, I think it was, to where they discover her as a clone.
User clown.
They were psychically linked, so not only did Supergirl actually see in her dreams the bad things her clone was doing, but it came out to be that the clone was feeling the remorse of Supergirl. The only reason to get rid of the remorse was by trying to kill Supergirl. So it goes into this huge epic fight, and that was a really good episode. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes.
He definitely struck me as the heavy conspiracy theorist type person, and that seems to be his power.
It is. He sees patterns where other people can't. Yeah. He's also pretty good with weaponry. Yes.
Still, that's not much of a power.
Well, neither Batman doesn't have much of a power either.
No, but he's trained for fucking ever.
Secretly, they
Yes,
use it like
he trained. You don't think other superheroes without born superpowers haven't trained?
they
I
all
mean,
train. They all train.
That actually came up in an episode of the original Justice League. It was a driving plot point in one episode for Batman to prove himself as a equal member of the group, simply because he was the only one who did not have any kind of superpowers.
what are you
Any
talking
kind
about?
of
Green Arrow
superhuman
doesn't
power.
have a superpower. He shoots
That's
arrows.
That was in Justice League Unlimited. I'm talking about the original Justice League episodes.
Oh, fine. Continue.
No, that was actually my point.
My point is that Batman's smart enough he can defeat all the superheroes as it is, because as soon as the Justice League formed, he came up with weapons to take down each and every one of them in case they went rogue. Including a gun that shoots yellow powder to take down Green Lantern. I still think the weakness for the color yellow is still a really weird weakness.
Yeah, it is.
It's yellow. Oh no! Someone dropped yellow paint on me. Seriously.
There wasn't like a great color for the bill. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Continue.
Yeah. Which also made me wonder how that one villain of his that's like the Yellow Lantern, like he was originally a Green Lantern. So wouldn't his powers been sucked away by his choice of costume?
No, he was originally one of the Green Lantern Corps, and they explore that in the Green Lantern movie, in fact.
Yeah.
He wound up turning to, instead of using will, which is what the green power of the Green Lanterns is, he winds up moving to rage, which is what the yellow power is. That's
I thought
why.
those were the Red Lantern's power.
No, I don't even know what the Red Lanterns are for anyway.
I've never
mind,
heard
I'll
the
be
Red
quiet.
Lanterns, but I didn't get too big into the
He
series
was
either.
in the cartoon series. With the Green Lantern cartoon series.
Never saw it.
You were there. It was Rage.
I was a big fan of.
His wife got killed. Like he like got frozen or something, and then he ended up joining with Green Lantern in order to like be like. Never mind. I'll be quiet.
I was a big fan of the episode of Static Shock where they brought in the Green Lantern. That was
Oh yeah, Green Lantern Static Shock's father, by the way.
He is not.
He is too. At least in the comic books he was.
Well, he wasn't in the series, at least.
Yeah,
was
I
he-
know.
Was this the
I mean-
episode? Oh, sorry.
No, continue.
I was okay. I was gonna say, was this the episode where oh, what was it? That robot dude from Superman came and invade the city.
No, that was actually a different episode, but that was actually pretty cool too. I was talking about the episode where Green Lantern finds himself in Static Shock's neighborhood just because his lantern gets stolen and his ring gets depleted just by him trying to get back to where he was supposed to be. But chasing after him is the ex-Green Lantern guy that's chasing down all the Green Lantern rings. So Static winds up recharging Green Lantern's ring with his own electrical power, and somehow that works.
Because
Static.
a wizard did it.
Magic.
That
Yep.
was another cartoon I kind of liked when I was about, I don't know, 12 to 14 or so. I went back to watch it several years ago, but when I was only about 12 or 13, that one was airing on TV. That was one of my favorite episodes. One of my favorite episodes was when he was questioning the what the Bang Babies were becoming, because it came up in conversation with his dad that not even Static himself knows what's going to happen. So he takes himself to the doctor without his father or without his father finding out, which I'm still trying to figure out how the hell that worked out if he was on his father's insurance.
It was probably a free clinic.
Anyway, he goes up to the clinic and it's like, can you just send the test in? He gets the test results back at the end of the episode. Stag's jumping on his bed and everything's, there's flashing, lightning bolts and everything's flying in the air. He's like, I'm normal.
Yeah. Although I didn't like it when the government just started putting the cure for it into the air, and so all the it was good that the Bang Babies were losing their powers, but Static Shock was also losing his powers. Luckily, they managed to get them back by not smoking, by getting more of the toxic fumes.
Well, that was the whole point of it. I think I missed that episode. I don't think it ever got uploaded. But that seems like a really good story concept. Or there was also the episode where him and Hotshot went in and they were with the guy who owned the business that created the Big Bang gas in the first place.
Uh-huh.
His son was a Bang Baby because he utilized the gas for himself without his father's permission.
Oh yeah, the guy that wore the bubble wrap costume filled with gas. Yeah, that guy.
But yeah, he turned to stone, and then a later episode, it gets down to the Bang Babies are being kidnapped and experimented on. And then when the whole thing goes down, Static and Hotshot actually jump into the chairs to try their hands at for the experiment to see if it would actually help the kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a really
because
good
he was a
lesson.
total asshole.
Yeah, both of them were still assholes, but they got to look. The bad guys got to learn a lesson that episode. That they didn't do it because they didn't do it for any kind of reward or anything. They did it because it was right, and that was the last we get to see of those two characters. Was basically them having this facial expression of redemption or something. Is they get to walk off and they kind of start their you can kind of tell that they're starting their relationship anew, which is good to see. Yeah. I think that's one aspect of what attracts people.
Have any of you guys realized almost all superheroes are orphans?
Some are.
Almost all superheroes. I can't think of one superhero that's parents are still alive or haven't been tortured in some way.
Wouldn't Static Shock be considered that?
I think so.
Static lost his mother in raid fires.
Yes, and then his dad eventually dies because Green Lantern eventually dies in the comic book. Let's see.
But technically, Superman doesn't know his parents. The only parents he knows are the kids, and they both are alive.
But his actual parents died.
But he doesn't know that when he becomes Superman. He just knows that he has these.
Batman's dead.
Baby.
Spider-Man's parents are dead. His uncle gets killed.
Wait a minute. When did
his grandmother still lives, though. His
When
grandmother
do we
still
get to
lives.
hear that his? Actually, it's his aunt. When do we get to hear that his parents are dead?
They went down in a plane crash. They are soon to be dead.
I think I missed that part.
Okay. Another superhero. Okay. Can't think of any more superheroes. That
Spider-Man?
blind superhero. His parents are dead.
Daredevil?
Yeah.
Daredevil, yeah. His dad's still alive, but his dad's a total asshole.
What?
His dad was a jerk. He got blinded, and his dad was just kept pushing him to do stupid stuff. He got blinded by his dad's work. It's kind of his dad's fault that he got blinded in the first place. Anyways,
he makes me think of another character. Have you ever seen the movie Return to Camelot or something like that?
The Return
No.
of Harmony.
No, like it's like Return to Camelot.
Candlelight Wedding or something like that.
No, it's not an episode of MLP. It's an actual movie, and it's kind of a
Oh,
Disney
okay.
ripoff.
Okay, yeah, I got
Quest for
really totally
Camelot
confused.
Yeah, Quest for Camelot.
with
That's it.
the two-headed dragon and then the blind dude.
Yeah, Daredevil always makes me think of that blind dude because he actually, both of them, lost their sight, and they lost their sight early in life, but they wind up overcoming that problem and use the rest of their senses to basically become badass.
Yes. Although I still want to know what that stupid magical leaf healy thing was.
Are you talking about a Quest for Camelot movie?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of what the fuck shots in that whole movie.
Yes. That was.
Axe speak.
Anyways, as I said, it's just that a lot of superheroes' parents are either dead, injured, or just jerks.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, evil. Okay, but we're not supposed to be talking about superheroes. We're supposed to be talking.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about some actual
cartoons.
cartoons next.
Yeah. How about Chicken and Cow? Any of you guys watch that weird show?
No, I never watched Cow and Chicken.
I
That
never
would
watched
come in
it.
the mornings. That would come in the mornings on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Just-
I never really liked it, but I always liked the devil. Because, I don't know, he always just made me giggle and laugh.
Or the red guy, as he's called.
I hate him.
Yes. Yes. Red guy.
I
He
think
always made me
was it
giggle.
Cow and Chicken and Cat Dog that both came out about the same time?
Yes, and they were
I
both
think
weird.
so.
Yeah, I was one of the Cat Dog watchers.
That show is just so weird.
Yeah, I watched both, but when I watched Cow and Chicken, I prefer watching the shorts. What was it? Weasel and Baboon.
I Am Weasel.
Yes.
I like I Am Weasel.
No. I always liked Hey Arnold, but like I always felt kind of weird that they never finished up the subplot. Like the movie's the final installment, and Helga finally confesses her love to Arnold and kisses him, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, well I gotta go save the street, you know," and then it's never brought up again. Like something
Well, that was a
that
major underlying plot for the entire series.
I know. I would like it him to be like, "I'm sorry, you're kind of a bitch. I don't want to date you," or for him to be like, "Okay, I'll give you a chance." That's it. Like, come on. Like, even like just a scene with them holding hands at the end of the movie or something. You know, like just something.
That was actually really, really cool. They did the most childish thing for love there is, and it worked so well in that series.
Yeah, and
The
I
thing
always
that I
like.
found weird about Arnold, though, was he hit really, really close to Mary Sue. He seemed to always know what was absolutely necessary in almost every single one of his episodes.
Yeah.
Especially
Although-
if the episode didn't revolve around him, he was the voice of reason.
Yes.
He was the Applejack.
Yep.
Yes. Although I had to say, I always preferred Helga over Arnold because she was flawed, and she, you know, I always felt similar to Helga because I had one of those perfect sisters, like my sister Jonna, who yes tortured me and was evil, but she was, you know, the head cheerleader and you know the A student and everything
I
else.
liked
you know, she was
Helga's
Miss
little
Perfect.
girlfriend. She was cool.
Yes. Although I always liked the guy that would be breathing heavy whenever she was confessing her love for Arnold. It always made me think of that thing, you know, like they like you have unrequited love for someone, but there's always one person behind you that has unrequited love for you, you know, type of thing. And like, I always just find it so
I
funny.
loved it when she went into her monologues. And that guy, she'd finish the monologue, and all of a sudden you hear this. Hi. It's like they did this huge dramatic performance, and then just bitch slapped it with this comedy stick.
I know, it was always fun. Yes. Yeah. Although that chocolate kid, I seriously think he'll have problems as an adult because he has a very addicted personality.
Are you talking about the fat bully guy?
No, I'm talking about the chocolate addicted kid.
Chocolate
Like,
kid.
who
Don't remember. There was a lot of characters in Hey Arnold, and each one was very unique. I think that's one reason why Hey Arnold was so popular in the day.
Because if you didn't like one character, there was another one you could like.
Yeah, and that's actually one aspect I've gotten to realize over the course of time, just how important characterization is in series. It's what makes a series successful, what makes it unsuccessful.
Then
Good
how?
series,
Sorry.
good series always have a diverse cast.
Then can you explain to me how on earth Twilight became so popular?
I don't know.
Their characters have no personality at all.
Belle has no personality. It's the other
Yeah.
characters that actually kind of tell the story, even though you're seeing everything from Belle's perspective.
Well,
The series was written for girls to be able to put themselves into this nobody, no personality whatsoever, and get to see what was going on.
Exactly, and the problem is that
That's
they
why it's
didn't
told
give
from
the
Belle's
role,
point of view and not Edward's.
but yet they didn't do that. Although she was going to write a book from Edward's point of view, but people apparently were trying to steal or get sneak glimpses of it, and so she stopped writing it. I don't know how I know this. I swear to God, I have no idea how I have this knowledge.
Well,
I
people
swear.
wanted to see if she could make Twilight better by basically getting rid of the whole concept of Belle. Because Belle was not a character. She was a blank slate for people to drop themselves into.
Which they do a lot with books. Like, I've read so many teenage books where they do that. But if you're going to make a movie, you have to give the characters character. See, a movie is different from a book. This is why I say a good book adaptation for a movie is usually a bad movie. I said usually, not always. Like, for instance, The Hobbit, a fantastic book. I love this book, but if they would have turned exactly that book into a movie, it would have sucked. Hence why I have no problem with the movie, even though it adds a couple new wizards, and you don't really get to see the hobbits or anything, you know? It's because in the book, it's all about the characters, while in the movie, it's all about the plot, you know? And
Which
exciting.
have made Twilight
People interesting. Because let's face it, nobody really wants to watch a bunch of dwarfs climbing and traveling over a mountain for 3 hours. They gotta add something to keep it interesting.
Well, that's kind of why they put in the whole flight scene in the Harry Potter movie for Goblet of Fire. It was never actually in the book. The whole reason why he falls on top of the school and is reaching so hard to get back to his broom is because it was dramatic. They needed to add it into the book. He should have just called his broom, swept up, lured the dragon away, swept back down, caught up the dragon egg, and he won. It would have been the entire competition for his part would have been that short.
Exactly. Or like, why
they had to add drama and they had to add suspense because you have to have those things set in movies in a completely different format than within a book itself.
Exactly, which is why in like the swimming scene they had those little those little water troll thingies attack him, where in the book he wasn't attacked for them until after he already got the people. Which they did show, but like he was like almost attacked several times. They added suspense. They build them up to them, you know. Yes.
Mhm.
Also, I was sad I didn't see any Grindylows in their Mermaid's Gardens, but that's just a nitpick.
So, what's
Anyway,
next?
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh, that one.
Aw,
That
cute dog.
one.
I
I think
don't
that
know
was a
that
good
one.
show. I
See,
think that
I
was
liked Courage. See, it showed
Yeah.
what true courage was. True courage is not doing something brave. It's doing what's right even though you're scared, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I liked it because it was more of a cultural commentary. They did a lot of stuff on culture that some cartoons don't do.
Mhm.
It was a kids show that referenced adults doing things to kids they shouldn't, without it being absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I always liked her cousin. Uh, you know, yes, I'm feeling naughty. It was always just so funny. I'm sorry. Like he always like and I understand it's just him
Naughty.
shaving fuzzy things, you know. But yet
Yeah,
at the
but the
same
whole
time,
underlying concept of it was basically an adult who touches children in the wrong places. That was
Yeah.
actually that was
That
actually the social commentary on that episode. I
yeah.
love Courage the
that
Cowardly Dog because not only is it entertaining, but it very safely touches on subjects and helps to kind of subconsciously teach kids to try and do the right thing when they have
Though,
to.
though I
And
could
in that
never figure
aspect,
out.
you bring that wrongdoing to an adult's attention.
I never really understood what the Duck Adonis thing was about, though.
Hmm, me neither.
Like, although I like the dam episode where like that beaver was building a dam, and so it's flooding the farm.
Yeah.
I was always kind of curious about why it was considered a farm, but it was nothing but a desert area around it. It was
yeah.
a little tiny wood cottage in the middle of fucking nowhere, no living stuff, and a rickety little wooden fence that didn't hold
Always,
anything out.
oh, I always figured they might grow potatoes.
I just I just didn't get understand why I was out there all alone for some reason.
See, I think it was actually just Courage's point of view. Like, he lives on this farm far away from anything. We have seen the town before. So it just might be, to, like, the dog's point of view, it's in the middle of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, he only basically knows the house and a little bit of the yard. As far as he's concerned, there's nothing else beyond it until you get to the city. And that is one theory that's been brought up about the underlying writing for the uh, series. It's one aspect that makes Courage the Cowardly Dog so interesting to think about.
Sorry. I love that episode.
Does anyone remember the Star Children episode?
Wasn't that with the ducks?
That was the one with the squid,
Ah,
the space squids.
Nah, I missed that one, I think.
Yeah.
Me-
Do you
me
guys
too.
remember? Do you guys remember the when all the evil villains came back and they played a dodgeball game in the basement?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's a
I
really
don't
good
think
one.
I've
They
even
get
heard
like
of
the
that one.
twins from the quilting one, and like they get the ducks to do the halftime show, and like they get that
Oh, that
weird,
episode. Oh, that episode. Okay.
yeah, and they play dodgeball in the basement.
Yeah.
And then and then he learns his best ability isn't being able to defeat them, but his ability to scream so loud that he breaks the cauldron that they were holding her over that's boiling. And then so basically he cheats.
Yeah, Courage is OP. He can destroy indestructible objects.
Yep.
Johnny Test.
Oh yeah, Johnny Test. I remember that show.
I don't know. I
also
thought
really
Johnny Bravo was more amusing.
I never
I
liked
didn't really
Johnny
watch
Test.
too much of Johnny. I didn't watch too much of Johnny Test though.
I watched a few episodes about Johnny Test.
I was getting out of cartoons around the time that show showed up.
I don't know
Wow.
if you heard, but you know Johnny Test is being cancelled now.
yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wait, why?
record. I don't know, but I think it was either Record or Teen Critics saw a news article yesterday about it. Where it's cancelled.
Yeah, that show
Aw,
was
poor
putting on
Johnny Test.
that show was on its last legs anyways because they were showing nothing but reruns after reruns.
Wait, was it?
after...
Oh, they were doing reruns now? When did it end? Like,
Hmm.
what season?
Let me
Ah,
see.
4.
I don't know.
4.
Wait, how many seasons are there?
It was
Let's
4.
Because I only
see.
watched a few episodes about it.
Well, they've done 7 seasons,
I think they probably stopped there then.
and let's see.
It was like a few days ago.
Well,
It was probably
How
also
about-
about all the whiplash with the whiplash sound effects.
what
Flashing-
about
the flashing
Darkwing Duck?
effects.
Yeah, that.
Darkwing Duck.
Yes, I love that show. I used to stay up late at my grandparents' house to watch that show. Darkwing Duck, let's get dangerous. I always thought he was so funny how he was always doing monologues to himself. And, like, I always thought it was funny that he had a kid because, like, she was, like, the perfect thing to go with his ego because she believed everything he said about himself. You know?
Yeah.
But in return, she helped him, grow up a bit. I like Darkwing Duck.
It was the perfect breed between comedy and drama, and it hit a sweet spot that I don't think many people were looking to see, and I think that's what made it so unique.
Yes. And I remember it came on right before The Tick. Which was,
I never had an interest in the Tick.
I always found it funny, but yet I never really watched it. Because while I found the concept amusing, I just didn't really like it. You know? Although the live action movie was really funny.
Which one, the Tick?
Yes.
I still haven't seen it.
Just because it's a grown man in a, like,
Rubber suit,
giant rubber suit.
running around with his accountant, who is also in a giant rubber suit.
Well, no, it's more of a furry suit.
That's
it?
even more
'Cause-
disturbing.
It's a rabbit furry suit? No?
I thought he
Really
was
find
supposed
that
to be a butterfly.
No, he's a... Wait, what?
I thought he was supposed to be
Pretty
a
sure he
butterfly
was a
because he has
rabbit.
wings to fly.
Yes, he occasionally has wings, but most of the time he's just a bunny. I swear. Okay,
I am back.
What the heck has happened?
It looks like we got disconnected.
Okay, that's just
What the
weird.
hell was that?
It looks. We're still live. We're still live though.
Yeah.
I know, but the whole thing, like, killed.
Wait, what happened?
The video.
I don't know.
You could just wait. Like, it just said it got ended because of an error or something.
We broke the system.
No, I think she accidentally clicked something on her, like, toolbar or something to go to a different window. In the window.
By the way,
okay.
here's the link to
Definite.
why Johnny Test was cancelled.
Well, I suppose he might be a butterfly, although those ears do look a lot like a bunny's. But he does have wings, so I guess he's a moth. So we were both wrong.
Well, butterfly and a moth are pretty close together.
We were both wrong.
I was more right than you were.
Fine, you win. Nah.
Ghosts.
Wow, talking about cartoons suddenly make us a lot more childish. Again, we're
I'm
arguing
just
about
being an
cartoons.
ass.
Child.
Anyways, so why don't we discuss the last cartoon, at least that I can think of, Gargoyles.
Gargoyle.
I've only watched the movie, sadly.
Hmm.
I had the board game for this, which actually had a cassette tape to play with. I wonder if they still sell the game with the cassette tape, or if they now sell it with a DVD, or if they like completely forgot about the game.
They probably totally forgot about the game.
But it was such a fun game. It was like playing Dungeons and Dragons for idiots.
I see like that shit.
It was.
Gargoyles was one of those cartoons that was like right alongside Gummy Bears. It was a weird mix between reality and fantasy.
But I
But
liked
Gargoyles
Gummy
did it
Bears.
right. I mean, Gargoyles was great. It did. I mean, you got to see the modern world, but you got to see you got to get the fantasy aspect of the lives of the gargoyles, and like up at the tower.
Mhm.
Who was it? It was like one of the cop detectives or something?
Yes.
Were the only ones who knew that the gargoyles were there, and that was basically their human ally for this huge war against these hunters.
And them trying to find more of their own kind.
Yep. I never understood the turning to stone at dawn, though.
It comes from the myth of gargoyles. Gargoyles were believed to protect castles at night. They were actually not gargoyles at all. They were grotesque. Gargoyles actually served a purpose. They would filter out water. They were sort of like drains or gutters on a house. While grotesque were actually the ones that were said to be protectors up on the high. It was believed at night they would come to life and protect the castle from those who try to intrude.
I heard that
Things
myth.
that
I
humans
seen that
themselves
myth
could
in
not fight
museums.
against. So technically gargoyles should be called grotesques, but I'm just nitpicking.
Well, that's not as catchy. And grotesque just sounds gross. Am I wrong?
No.
Nope.
it's just-
You laugh
they're
like I'm
supposed to
wrong.
look gross. They're supposed to be scary looking.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like media appeal. And gargoyle sounds a whole lot cooler than grotesques, because grotesques is kind of one of those kind of words. So they named it gargoyles to make it seem like, this is a great fantasy series.
Or they didn't do the research, because most people believe that gargoyles are just those little statues that stand up on churches, not realizing that gargoyles are actually the gutter system and the grotesques are those statues. Most people don't actually know this. I only know this because my art teacher was very vehement about knowing the difference between them. It was actually on our exam. I wish I was joking. It was just one of those things that, he would get butthurt if you said it wrong. Anyways. So, anybody else have any cartoons they'd like to talk about?
Tom and Jerry.
We talked
We
about
already
Tom
talked
and
about
Jerry.
it.
Oh.
Powerpuff Girls.
Oh yes, of course. Rose, you may talk about your Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, but this is one of my favorite animated cartoons of all time, and I'm a really big fan of it. Ever since the first episode began, I've fallen in love with this since. Like the animation was excellent. Like the storylines in each episode were really action packed, and some of the stories were heartwarming, and the characters were just fantastic. I mean, Craig McCracken, who created it, like it was like it started off as a sort of a high school project, and it became the series that I know and love today. And my personal favorite episodes were like the episode where they did a tribute to the Beatles, where Mojo, him, Fuzzy, and Princess became a group known as the Beatles, hence one of the Beatles, and Mojo falling in love with this girl chimp based on Yoko Ono, John Lennon's girlfriend.
Hmm.
So that was quite a fun episode, and I was happy when Mojo's got a love interest. Well, until the end of the episode, anyway. And
Yeah, it
that's-
was all just a charade.
yeah,
Uh,
and the episodes that involve the girls and the professor, and it was so heartwarming and so adorable. Like every time when they faced a difficult obstacle, like in the episode where the professor builds a car, similar to have you guys heard a series called Knight Rider with David Hasselhoff?
hmm
Heard of it?
Yeah, Professor built a car just like similar to the villain in one of the episodes in there, and it was jealous of the way the professor cares about the girls more than him, and he tries to take them away from him. And when the professor finally sees his true colors, as it were, when he tries to run the girls over for the second time, because the first time he didn't believe them, Professor came to realize that having the Powerpuff Girls, as he was the one who created them in the first place, his whole life would be empty without them. When they have that heartwarming hug, my heart exploded. And it goes to tears every time I see it.
Powerpuff Girls was a great series, and it definitely had that Faust charm to it, because it did not only blatantly make fun of the fact that it was a cartoon, but it also had more in-depth theory and stuff that you could do for it, kind of like what we do as an analysis community. You could do that for Powerpuff Girls and get to dig into some of the references and topics that they touch on in the background of the episodes, and it was great.
Yes, I liked Powerpuff Girls a lot. My favorite episodes would have to be the Medusa episode, where Medusa dresses up as Miss Good, and yeah.
Tries to
And
seduce
so
the
name.
professor.
She seduces the professor, as if that's really hard. Let's face it, he really needs to get a life.
He is a single middle-aged man. He will fall for any woman showing an interest in him.
Yes, and
Knowing being the son of my father,
she grounds
I've seen it
the
happen.
children, and she starts to get stuff, and then of course the girls figure it out, and the professor believes them, and then I swear to God, at the end of an episode, I swear it's Medusa again, just coming in and being like, "Oh hi, I just moved in. And I baked you a pie." It's like, oh dear Lord, it's happening again. And then I like the episode where they got turned into puppies. Yes.
Okay, so here's a question for you guys. Have you guys seen both the Japanese spinoff and or the new reboot of the series?
I know they're doing a reboot in 2016, and I have seen some of the episodes of the Japanese spin-off of it.
I have watched all the episodes of the Powerpuff Girls Z, I'm afraid to say.
I'm a big
Yeah,
fan.
especially-
It
I
was
like
so
it.
cute. It was so cute.
I liked the episode. I liked the episode where Blossom gets her feelings hurt by something, and she winds up the whole fucking world winds up turning on her side because apparently this guy broke her heart. Now everybody wants this guy to say sorry to her. It's like it was partially a lie anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the reboot in 2016, and I seriously hope they're going to use the original animation. That would
No,
be
they're
super
going to be
cool.
using a brand new animation style. Have you seen any of the artwork for it? I've heard some bad stuff about some of the concepts. Like they've basically from what I've heard, they basically turned Buttercup into a drama queen. Bubbles is the baby of the group more so than what she actually should be, and who
Buttercup
knows
was
what they're going to do with
always
Blossom.
the drama of the group.
No, I'm
She was
talking
always
about
having
basically
to.
turning.
She was always having to fight with authority. She was always having to be in
Be
control.
right back.
And she even went off and started dating the captain of the Green Gang.
She
has
was
always been a
she was
drama
always
queen.
the rebel. She was always the tough girl. I'm talking about them basically turning her into the bitch of the group.
Okay, she was never a bitch, per se.
And for what
Except
I've
for
heard,
the
a lot
time
of the
she was a
people who watch the
dog.
old series and
But-
have seen this, they're not necessarily looking forward to the latest reboot. I am
Yeah,
looking
why
forward
not
to
get
seeing
Lauren
the
Faust
animation
to get in
style.
on this? I mean, they were originally her creation anyways.
Exactly. I think people are scared to get Faust in on some of these new stuff because either she's going to try and repeat what she did before, or they're afraid it's going to turn into something that nobody actually is going to want because it may possibly be different.
Really?
Oh,
Because she makes good stuff. Almost every project Lauren Faust has ever touched
Becomes a huge cult
becomes a huge
sensation.
hit. You think companies would be swarming her. I mean, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I mean,
Powerpuff Girls,
Powerpuff
and
Girls.
this little thing called My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Have you guys heard of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I
Yes.
meant to talk about the first generation, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Because I did grow up watching it on hardcore VHS tape, I might add you.
Yeah, I never heard of the first one yet.
It was actually really good. It was more fantasy based.
That was the
Next.
best part of the original generation. It was so much fantasy based. There was magic. There was mysticism. There was, mythical creatures and whatnot.
There
Even
was
if the characters.
the ooze, and there was this king trying to make these horses, dragon things, bullish chariot to bring
T-Rex.
darkness to the world.
T-Rex, yeah, the original T-Rex.
Correct. Yeah.
And then we had the witches.
was a villain.
Yes.
I actually had the T-Rex doll
Ooh.
when I was a kid. His beard was brushable. What? It's true. His beard was brushable.
Sorry. It's just. Never mind.
It's
Alright.
okay. Though I was never very nice to My Little Pony dolls. I made the first Alicorn OC though when I was a kid.
Um.
Don't ask. Don't ask. We must never mention Muffin again.
Okay. So,
Anyway.
is that everything?
That is. Everybody ready to do their sign-offs?
Mm-hmm. This is
Alright. Postscript, why don't you start?
All right. I am Postscript of the Burning Crusaders. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to hearing to all of you.
Okay. You're up.
This has been Lore Weaver Knight. Hope you have fun. See you next time.
And Rainbow X Dosh.
I'll see you all next time on the next podcast that we do.
Rosie.
This is Rosie. She was always saying, "See you later, every pony."
Violet Sphere.
This is Violet Spear. See you later.
A big thank you for all of you coming onto my podcast, and I am Starlight Pony. And thank you once again for coming onto one of my fan chats. Starlight Pony, shine out, and don't forget to sparkle. Yes.